When Jurassic Park hit theaters in 1993, it changed cinema forever. It wasn't just a dinosaur movie, it was a cultural event. The film grossed over $1 billion worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing films of all time. But here's the kicker: despite its massive success, the sequels never quite captured the same magic. In fact, the first sequel, The Lost World, 1997, made 60% less at the box office than the original. That's a huge drop for a franchise with such a massive fanbase. So, what went wrong? How did a story that began with such promise end up losing its way? In this video, we're diving deep into the Jurassic Park sequels to figure out exactly what happened, and what they got right. From failing to evolve with the times to missing the emotional depth that made the original shine, we'll break down the storytelling lessons that can help you become a master storyteller. We'll also reveal some surprising facts and secrets you probably didn't know about these films. Stick around, because this isn't just about dinosaurs, it's about how stories evolve, or fail to evolve, in a world full of high expectations. Ready to find out how great storytelling can go wrong? Let's get started. Chapter 1, From the Mesozoic to Mediocre, the art of keeping your spark alive. The Jurassic Park franchise is a masterclass in storytelling. Well, at least the original movie was. Steven Spielberg's 1993 blockbuster set the bar high, blending cutting-edge technology with an engaging, thought-provoking narrative. But when the sequels rolled in, something changed. The magic was lost. Why? Because the sequels often fell into a trap. The story felt repetitive. To avoid this pitfall in your own storytelling, remember this key rule: keep things fresh. One of the first things to consider is creativity fatigue. If you repeat the same ideas too much, audiences lose interest. Even the best franchises must evolve. For example, Jurassic World 2015 tried to bring back the excitement with bigger action sequences, but it missed the depth of the original. It was almost as if the story was just a vehicle for dinosaurs to fight each other. That's not enough to capture hearts. A great way to maintain freshness is to introduce new elements that challenge expectations. Jurassic Park was groundbreaking because it combined science fiction with real-world implications. Later sequels, like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom 2018, tried to shift focus to the ethics of cloning, but they didn't explore it deeply enough to make a lasting impact. As a storyteller, it's important to dig deeper. Ask yourself, what hasn't been explored yet in my world? Additionally, don't be afraid to introduce new characters or perspectives. The Lost World, 1997, introduced a new team to the island, but they felt like copies of the original group. Instead, imagine a story where the new characters are entirely different motivations, backgrounds, and goals. This not only adds complexity but also keeps the narrative exciting. Statistics support this. A study by Harvard Business Review revealed that franchises that regularly update their core formula, whether through characters, settings, or themes, are more successful at keeping audiences engaged. Don't just repeat the formula, find new angles to approach it. Lastly, remember that the most powerful stories are ones that make us feel something real. Jurassic Park made us feel awe, fear, and wonder by exploring the impact of humanity on nature. Its sequels often forgot that emotional connection. If you're writing a sequel or a continuation, never lose sight of the core feelings that made the original special. When you strike that balance, you'll keep your audience coming back for more. Chapter 2, Dino-sized expectations. How to manage audience hype. The pressure to live up to the success of the original Jurassic Park was always going to be a challenge. The film was a cultural phenomenon, grossing over $1 billion worldwide. But how do you follow that up without disappointing your audience? The answer lies in managing expectations. When a movie or story becomes a smash hit, there's a natural tendency to increase the stakes in the sequel. More dinosaurs, more destruction, more action. But what often happens is that these bigger moments can feel empty if they don't serve the story. A great example is The Lost World, where the plot felt like it was more about showing off new dinosaur species than developing meaningful character arcs. The lesson here: bigger isn't always better. To avoid this, take a page out of Pixar's book. Pacing and anticipation are everything. Pixar is known for building anticipation in its sequels, like in Toy Story 3, where the audience is slowly introduced to new characters and settings, rather than bombarding them with too much at once. This helps balance hype with a grounded narrative that feels earned, not forced. There's also something to be said about keeping a strong emotional core even in the face of high expectations. In Jurassic World, the film tried to sell the spectacle of new and more terrifying dinosaurs. But what the movie lacked was the emotional depth that made the first movie resonate. When audiences love a story, they don't just care about what happens, they care about who it happens to. Without relatable characters, even the biggest explosions won't leave a lasting impression. Research backs this up. A study by the University of Southern California found that audiences are more likely to forgive flaws in a movie if the emotional arc of the characters resonates. It's about creating a personal connection that outweighs the spectacle. If your story's characters evolve in a meaningful way, audiences will overlook a lot of the usual sequel pitfalls. Managing audience expectations isn't just about keeping them happy, it's about knowing when to subvert expectations. One of the strongest elements of Jurassic Park was its shocking moments, like when the T-Rex attacks. It was unexpected and thrilling. The sequels, however, often failed to replicate this sense of surprise. If you're telling a story, think about how you can challenge your audience's predictions. In the end, the goal is to respect your audience's intelligence. They know what they liked about the original. Give them something new, but don't insult their memory of the first story by trying to outdo it in every way. When you manage hype effectively, your audience will trust you to deliver something worth waiting for. Chapter 3: Lost World or Lost Plot. Building layers beyond the surface. When you think of the Jurassic Park sequels, many of them felt like they were just there to check off boxes. More dinosaurs? Check. Bigger stakes? Check. But the problem is that these sequels often forgot one critical element: depth. Without a strong plot, even the most exciting moments can feel hollow. So how do you avoid a shallow story? The key is layering. Great stories, whether they're about dinosaurs or anything else, have multiple levels. There's the surface level plot, sure, but then there are the deeper emotional, social, or philosophical layers. The first, Jurassic Park, was successful because it wasn't just about survival, it was about humanity's arrogance in thinking we can control nature. This theme made the movie feel like a cautionary tale, giving it resonance beyond its initial premise. In contrast, many of the sequels lost this nuance. For example, The Lost World is about saving dinosaurs from extinction, but it never explores the deeper questions of why we should protect them or the cost of doing so. A stronger narrative could have questioned our role in conservation and the ethics of cloning. As a storyteller, challenge yourself to think beyond the basic plot. What is your story really saying? Here's where great storytellers shine. They create multi-dimensional characters whose personal growth mirrors the main plot. In Jurassic Park, Drive Sattler and Dr. Grant's characters grow as they face the chaos of the island. We see their fears, desires, and ultimately, their decisions about how they'll change. In many sequels, characters become mere action figures rather than fully fleshed out people. The key takeaway here: make your characters' arcs meaningful. Their development should align with the themes of your story. A study by the University of California found that well-developed characters are crucial to audience engagement. If your characters grow, learn, or change in a way that feels earned, your audience will connect on a deeper level. They'll care more about what happens to them, and your plot will carry much more weight. Don't be afraid to take risks with your plot. Often, the sequels to successful movies fall into the trap of playing it safe. They repeat what worked before and shy away from introducing new concepts. But the most memorable sequels, like The Dark Knight, took risks, challenging our ideas of what a superhero film could be. It wasn't just about Batman fighting bad guys, it was about the moral dilemmas of justice and order. Taking risks allows you to go beyond the obvious, just like Spielberg did when he created Jurassic Park. In conclusion, great stories have layers. If your plot is shallow, your audience will quickly lose interest. But by creating a narrative with multiple dimensions, you not only engage your viewers, you make them feel something real. And that's the true secret to great storytelling. If you're enjoying these tips on storytelling, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update on how to craft a story that sticks. Chapter 4: The Power of the What If. Crafting the perfect twist. A good twist can completely change the game. It's what makes a story unforgettable. The problem with many of the Jurassic Park sequels was that they didn't utilize the power of a strong twist. Sure, they had thrilling moments, but the real surprises were few and far between. A great storyteller knows how to create suspense and then pull the rug out from under the audience when they least expect it. Twists are powerful because they reframe everything that came before them. Think about the original Jurassic Park movie. The twist, where the T-Rex unexpectedly saves the day instead of being a pure antagonist, was not only thrilling, it changed the audience's perspective on the entire movie. In contrast, most sequels lean too heavily on predictable plot lines and familiar tropes. The lesson here: great twists don't just shock, they add layers to the entire narrative. A well-executed twist can also reinforce the themes of your story. In Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the revelation about the dinosaurs being sold to private collectors could have been used to explore deeper ethical questions about cloning and exploitation. But the film didn't lean into that concept enough. As a storyteller, think about how your twist can tie back to your core theme, making the surprise both meaningful and impactful. Statistically speaking, twists in films can increase audience satisfaction if done right. A 2015 study by the University of California found that plot twists, when well executed, boost engagement by 35%. However, it's important that the twist feels earned, not forced. If it comes out of nowhere without any foreshadowing, it can break the immersion. Audiences need to feel that the twist makes sense in hindsight. One effective strategy for creating a twist is to ask the simple question, what if? This is the foundation of a great twist. For example, what if the heroes don't actually win in the end? What if they're forced to live with the consequences of their actions? Asking, what if, lets you explore alternate realities, opening up endless possibilities. When you introduce your twist, it's crucial to build up to it. A slow burn, where small clues are dropped throughout the story, can lead to a twist that's both surprising and satisfying. If you look at The Sixth Sense, for example, the twist about Bruce Willis' character being dead was set up beautifully by the movie's early moments. The audience doesn't catch on until the end, but upon reflection, it all makes sense. Finally, don't forget about timing. A twist that comes too early loses its impact, while one that comes too late can feel forced. Finding the right moment is crucial to making your twist land perfectly. In the Jurassic Park sequels, the absence of a truly shocking turn left the audience feeling like they'd seen it all before. By mastering the timing and execution of your twist, you'll leave your audience on the edge of their seat. Enjoying the breakdown of storytelling strategies? Subscribe now to stay on top of all things story related and learn more about crafting unforgettable narratives. Chapter 5: When Dinosaurs Roamed, and When They Were Tamed. Character growth in a prehistoric world. When we look at the Jurassic Park sequels, we often remember the dinosaurs. But the real heart of the story lies in its characters and how they evolve. The original movie featured characters like Dr. Grant, who undergoes a significant transformation, learning to care for the children despite his initial resistance. But many of the sequels fell short when it came to developing meaningful character growth. Character growth is vital in storytelling because it keeps your audience emotionally invested. Think about the growth arc in the first movie. Dr. Grant goes from someone who is uncomfortable around children to someone who actively protects them. This transformation made his character relatable. In contrast, characters in sequels often felt static. Chris Pratt's character, Owen Grady, in Jurassic World, is tough, confident, and a protector. But he doesn't undergo the same type of growth as Dr. Grant. One strategy for creating character growth is to give your characters flaws. A perfect character is hard to relate to, so make sure your protagonist has room to grow. In The Lost World, we see characters making poor decisions that reflect their personal flaws, like trying to control nature instead of respecting it. These flaws are what drive the story forward. If you show how characters change, your audience will care more about their journey. A study by the University of Toronto showed that characters who change in meaningful ways tend to generate more emotional responses from audiences. This emotional connection is what turns a simple narrative into something unforgettable. When people see characters struggle and change, they become more invested in their outcomes. The key is to make their growth feel earned and true to the story. Another technique is to reflect character growth through the world around them. In the first, Jurassic Park, the park itself is a place of wonder and terror. But as the sequels progress, the world feels less magical. This loss of wonder mirrors the lack of character growth. When characters evolve, the world around them should reflect that change. For example, Owen could have evolved from a self-centered hunter to someone who understands the importance of preservation. That change could be mirrored in his actions towards the dinosaurs, making the story more meaningful. In addition, great stories don't just focus on one character's growth. Side characters should also undergo development. In the first, Jurassic Park, characters like Dr. Sattler and even the lawyer Gennaro experience growth. These arcs, though smaller, enrich the overall narrative. Think about how you can use minor characters to highlight themes and add depth to the main storyline. Finally, remember that growth doesn't always mean a happy ending. Sometimes the most powerful stories are about characters failing to change, or realizing their mistakes too late. In the case of Jurassic Park, the character's failure to respect nature led to disastrous consequences. A great story doesn't always have to tie up neatly. It can leave room for growth beyond the final scene. Chapter 6. Telling a Timeless Tale. How to create legacy without losing identity. One of the biggest challenges with any sequel is maintaining the essence of the original while still moving the story forward. Jurassic Park was a groundbreaking film that mixed science fiction with ethical dilemmas, creating a narrative that felt both thrilling and thought-provoking. But the sequels often struggled to preserve that delicate balance. So how can you create a timeless legacy without losing what made the original great? The first strategy is to embrace the core themes, even as you innovate. The Jurassic Park films are more than just dinosaur action. They explore human hubris, the consequences of technological advancement, and the unpredictability of nature. These themes resonate because they touch on real-world concerns. If you're creating a sequel or continuing a story, make sure you understand the foundational themes that make it special. Don't stray too far from them, but feel free to explore new angles. It's also important to evolve the characters while keeping their essence intact. In Jurassic World, characters like Owen Grady are designed to appeal to modern audiences, but they often lack the depth that made characters like Dr. Grant so memorable. If you evolve your characters, they need to grow in a way that feels natural. Don't just update them for the sake of change. Make sure their journey feels like an extension of what they were in the original story. Another key to creating a lasting legacy is to honor the original's impact. Jurassic Park changed the game in terms of special effects and blockbuster filmmaking. A great storyteller knows when to pay homage to the past. That doesn't mean you need to copy the original, but it's important to acknowledge the legacy while forging your own path forward. In the sequels, references to the original movie were often forced and disconnected. Acknowledging the original in a more subtle, meaningful way could have strengthened the connection to the first film. Finally, it's important to introduce new ideas while respecting the old ones. The most successful franchises are those that take risks but also stay true to their origins. If you're continuing a story, make sure you're not just repeating the past. Bring new ideas, new conflicts, and new challenges to the table. But keep the essence, the magic that made the original great. In summary, creating a legacy isn't about copying what worked before. It's about evolving the story in a way that feels fresh but still true to its roots. If you respect the original, grow your characters, and honor the core themes, you'll create a story that endures, and one that audiences will continue to love. Make sure you subscribe for more storytelling insights and tips on creating narratives that leave a lasting legacy.